Welcome to the Inspired Evolution, and it is such a treat here today because I get to bring to you the vibes from Paul Benson. Carol, how are you?
I'm wonderful, Amrit. How are you?
For those listening in, she's got a vast array of professional experiences. She's got certifications and trainings. Carol, she's ventured out of the private sector as a licensed speech and language pathologist, a writer as a consultant. She's now moved into business in the last 4 years. We share a bond. She's a Mindvalley Certified Trainer. She's a facilitator of the San Francisco Mindvalley group, as well as she's also a certified conscious business change agent. Carol blends her creativity as a writer, author, speaker, consultant, and trainer to focus on upgrading businesses to become what she refers to as humanity plus. They become these drivers of change in areas such as engagement, transparency, communication, mindfulness, resilience, culture, team building, and the latest technologies of consciousness engineering. All this so fundamentally we can be extraordinary at work. Together, Carol with her life and business partner, Paul, those that are tuning in will remember that Paul's been on an episode. She's the founder of, together they founded this thing called It Doesn't Feel Like Work, which is synonymous with the vision of the Inspired Evolution. So I'm super excited to have you guys here today. In terms of It Doesn't Feel Like Work, they coach, they speak, they've co-authored a critically acclaimed book called 5 Steps to Thrive, which is Reveal Any Crisis as an opportunity. Really good read. And as conscious and business engagement strategists and happiness engineers, they teach business entrepreneurs and leaders how to go beyond mindfulness to become truly extraordinary in their business and in the rest of their lives. Amongst their highest core values, they basically make sure that learning is fun and engaging and transformational. And so if you're in the San Francisco Bay Area, you definitely need to get in touch with them. They'd love to say ahoy. But it's such a treat to have you here today, especially based on what I was just sharing before and just the alignment with, It Doesn't Feel Like Work. Tell us more about where that came from, Carol.
Well, it was interesting. We had decided, we'd been together about 15 years, and we decided that we really wanted to work together, blending our different areas of expertise. We couldn't figure out what it would be. So, of course, we invested a lot of funds in consultants, coaches, programs, branding people, and everyone knew that we had we've heard repeatedly that we have the it factor. Yeah. So what's the it factor? I don't know, but it's the it factor, whatever that is. And we're just having fun. And so we had a branding guy finally about 2 years ago in a conversation. He was trying to extract, okay, what is your purpose? What's your mission in the world? How do you want to contribute? And I, in conversation, said, I want it to not feel like work for people. I want people at the end of the day to feel energized so that when they go home to the rest of their life, they actually can have a life instead of being so depleted or sitting in front of the TV or self-medicating in other ways, so that they can have great relationships with their family or their friends and learn and feel vibrant and energized and have great health and enjoy life.
Because it's all connected at the end of the day.
It is. And so our branding guy, he said, that's it. It doesn't feel like work. And we checked, and it was available. And at first, Paul was not sure, but I loved it. I was so happy. And, after like a day or so, letting it siphon through his brain and his cells, he just goes, I love it. It's so reflective of who we are and how we can contribute and serve others in the world, because that's what we do. We do that ourselves. Yeah. That's how it came about.
It's so incredible. So you've obviously been through, I know Paul's owned many businesses on his own as well, and you guys have had some breakthroughs and also some really poetic failures as well, which I can't wait to dive into. But what was the impetus? At what point were you like, I'm going to do something different? What was the catalyst that was like, you know what, I don't want it to feel like work? Was work so grindingly the wrong way, or what happened there?
Well, I know I can speak for myself since Paul is not here. I'm just going to talk about me, but I am a creative. I always have been. I was a marketing and journalism and fine, literature in college. That was my major. And then I ended up going into more of the heady sciences because my parents wanted me to have a secure job. right? So I went into communication disorders and sciences. And in hindsight, it's been a gift. It's been a wonderful benefit because I understand evidence-based practices. I'm a neuroscience geek, so I can look at the way the brain works. I have a lot of professional experience and training in those areas, so I get it. I can tell you why mindfulness works. I can tell you why all the practices work. And I left that profession for a while, and I was just writing. And I even had a screenplay go around LA for 3 years, and producers kept pulling it back. It won awards, but it wasn't produced because the whole market changed, the whole industry changed. And so I love writing, and I'm creative. And I think that's what has really helped me in my life is if there's a problem or a hurdle, I just use my creativity. So a number of years ago, I had to go back. Like someone forced me to do this, into the clinical sector again, seeing clients and patients. And when I look back now, it was a gift because I learned a lot. I became pretty much an expert in both social and emotional IQ. Because I was working with autism, ADHD, ADD, which I'm in the Bay Area, so the Silicon Valley, like techies definitely need me, and I've worked with them because they don't know how to have relationships outside of work. They don't have a good sense of how do you collaborate on a team with engagement. It's really hard. So I really did. Well, I don't want to say hate. Let's just say it was so distasteful, and I felt like someone had put shackles on me and forced me to get in my car to go to see patients every day and clients. And even though I did my best, I showed up 100%, it did not feed my soul. And I would come home and I would be exhausted. I would be grumpy, exhausted. I had no creative juice, nothing. I just felt like this is a dead end for me. And it's interesting because I had this grand master plan that I would exit the clinical sector this month. However, in December, I guess there was another master plan for me because that position ended.
Yep.
And my first response was, wait, this isn't my plan. I'm waiting till May. But it was no, yes, it is your plan. It is the plan.
Yep.
Just roll with it. And I have to say, since December, what has shifted and changed and grown in my professional life as a consultant and a coach, off a chart.
It's really incredible, isn't it?
Yes.
Amazing, because that's, I think there's an essence of trust in what you're sharing.
Yes.
An essence of flow. For those listening in, there's some really incredible themes in the book that you've written. The idea of balance is a core one. The idea of flow is a big one. Abundance is one that I'm really challenged by, which is really incredible, that I enjoy reading about. Also integrity and authenticity, the community and relationships, but also taking action and all that coupling into like helping with drive, which is really incredible. But you were touching on flow, and it's interesting how we have these master plans, right? Like my intention with the podcasting was I was going to do this for a couple of years before I left my job and started pursuing my creative passion and, hopefully garnering ideas and tips and tricks and habits and hacks from people like yourself that have gone on this for a long time to then be like, okay, cool, now I feel supported enough, like mentally, to be able to go do this.
Right.
I lasted about 3 months since the beginning of the podcast, which it's called the Inspired Evolution, and what your mission is to bridge out of that pain every day for someone else, but like living from passion in the heart. And it just popped me out at the beginning, the same time you said, like December. Right. That's it, and job done. It's like
that's right.
And you just have to trust. This is a really
you do
thing.
You do. I know that when, I've reflected on, I know when I was in the thick of it, I would try to convince myself, although I knew it was true, that I was serving people. I was serving kids in the work that I was doing, and I was making a difference for them and their parents in the work that I was doing. But it just felt too small for me. It just felt too small. And so I knew that if you want to say, I was being led by my soul, my purpose, my mission, and my values, all of it together is no, I want to make a bigger difference. I want to reach more people. And I know that business is a driver of change on this planet. And that called me. How can I contribute?
See, I love that. I recently did a podcast with another friend of ours, and we were talking about how there's two different types of revolutionaries, in his opinion, which was that there's those that like they go out and they surf every day, or they go and they pray in a mountain every day, and that's just, they're holding like this frequency or this energy of like,
Yes.
completely detached. Then there's the other kind of revolutionary that does surf and does go pray in a mountain, but then continually tries to bridge that for the mainstream as well.
Right.
The mainstream along to this thing.
Right.
Super inspirational because it resonates a lot with all the work that I've been doing, going around like guiding meditations and teaching meditations and mindfulness to all the communities here in Victoria and Melbourne. But I love the wisdom with which you guys put it so succinctly and so poetically again and again, even though it's written in the book, even the way you guys share it consistently. It's like it doesn't feel like work, It's like conscious business change agents. It's really phenomenal to just see the intention with which you're dialed in, but also like the consistency with which you bring that to the world again and again and again and again and again and again. How what is the biggest touch point do you think that people struggle with when it comes to, in your opinion, like the thrive factor or the conscious business factor? Like, what is it that people have the most sticking point? Is there one that sort of surfaces to the top consistently?
Well, one thing that I've noticed is when I mention conscious business, I get the glaze over. People's eyes go like, well, why? What's in it for me? Mm-hmm. What do I need? I mean, why? And so, yeah, right. Well, what is the freaking purpose of this, right? And so when I look at some of the data out there, the research about engagement and how employees will come on board, especially in the tech industry, and they'll get trained and they'll stay at a place for 18 months, and then all of a sudden they're looking. 50% of all employees are actively looking for their next job.
Yeah.
And disengagement is costing corporations and even small business owners a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge. It's like $30 million or something in the U.S. alone. Mm-hmm. So, or maybe it's billion. It's like huge. It's a huge number. That's shocking. So you have to go and look at, well, what is going on? It is not just about making a profit, right? It's not running a business. If you don't pay attention to your employees and what they need, and I think this is where my background really helps me, is I'm developmental. So I look at what's a development for a person to get from point A to point B, and why would I want to stay with a company or business if they are not growing. It's all about growth. It's all about personal growth and skills. And so many people are underutilized. And I think the other touch point that I run into this with all of my clients is the I'm not enough. They have that going on big time. And they're also comparing themselves to other people a lot. And I mean, I know it. I've done it. And I do it. Mm-hmm. And it's part of being human in this world, is this very richly scheduled world that we live in, right?
Yeah. Full of advertising as well, which doesn't help. Yeah.
Right.
it's interesting because you touch on the same thing that I consistently veer towards, which is sustainability. But not just sustainability, it's like sustainability in every essence of the word. It's like, because
That's
I
right.
continually like drive home the fact that it's, organizations are just an organization of humans, essentially like organized humans coming together in an organized fashion. The greatest resource, regardless of what you're putting together, whether it's banking, whether it's construction, whether it's engineering.
Right.
It's the people.
Right.
Right? And the sustainability starts with the people. Like if you can stay sustainable, it's not about sustainable resources out there. It starts with
absolutely,
resource, which is the human being. And then, as you alluded to, the disengagement and like there's just wearing your human beings out as well. It's like conscious business is really getting. I absolutely love that. How I think it's interesting because we're having this conversation about conscious businesses and like just the language of what they're like, what needs to need is an interesting word. What we would like to see, I guess, be the change in the world. How does that factor into like I guess languaging for businesses, and then your past is like obviously the languaging past and that you've got with language and all that sort of stuff.
I have found that when I talk about your intentional focus and awareness of what issues are going on, it's like you have to have an awareness of what's not working in your business. So the first thing is awareness. And then the second thing is, all right, so analyze it. Where do you want to go? Like what would be your desired outcome? And then my job, what I like to do is I spot the gaps. And so I will look at, okay, well, if you're here and you want to go over here, there's a few things you're missing in just your own internal infrastructure. And so many people, like, they're not honoring their word. They're not speaking their truth. They're not in integrity. They're not being transparent financially or personally, and that's a big thing. They're not treating others with respect and honoring the differences in people as really just being human. And it's amazing to see the differences and welcoming them in instead of making someone wrong and comparing. So if you look at someone, and I have this client I'm working with right now. She's a woman. She has been in her dream job for about 2 years. About 2 years. And she is not moving up the ladder. She's seeing coworkers being offered all these other positions, and she's being overlooked. And so I've been really helping uncover, well, what is in her that's not showing up? Mm-hmm. Because for her to really find her truth and find her authentic genius, leverage her own genius, not to get those promotions, but to feel valued. So she has to create that own value system inside of her before any division leaders or managers will even notice her. And it's already, she's getting some different responses, even in her meetings by co-workers. They're looking at her in a different way now. And she says it's like baby steps. Like she was so scared to act a different way. But once she started doing it, there's a freedom in her now. I mean, you could even see her when I know we do Zoom, meeting because she lives in another part of the world, and her shoulders drop. Her shoulders drop. It's like she's not stressed out and uptight anymore. She's just feeling her way. And it's super cool to watch that. It is.
Incredible. So I love that. You like the language is indicative of the internal infrastructure that you're covering. And then you can use that to spot the gaps and then go, okay, well maybe there's space for here to this to evolve and this to change.
Right.
Internal infrastructure then can go and impact how you interact with the world, and obviously your business is a big part of that. So why business? Is it the pure and obvious? Is it because business has the greatest leverage to create the biggest impact?
Business is the driver of change from my point of view. And I live in a country that is known for capitalism, and it's a broken system. It's not working, and it is the disparity between social classes, economic classes right now it's widening. So you have to look at, well, what's broken, what's not working anymore. How come people have been overlooked? And how can we include people in the mix so that they're valued? I mean, contribution is not just about philanthropic contributions from a financial point of view. Contribution is also treating people well and spotting something and maybe asking people that you're working with or working for you, hey, what are your dreams? What skill sets do you want to acquire in your life? I mean, where do you want to go? Do you just want to be here and in this position, or do you have other things you want to do? And when they share those with you, to actually celebrate it and said, wow, I'm gonna support you in this. This is so great. So what skills, hey, let's give you some more opportunities here to develop those skills. So instead of going into a scarcity mindset of, oh no, I'm going to lose them, they're really reliable and they're skillful, to celebrate their growth. See, I think oftentimes in business, people are afraid to see anyone else at a different level in the company or the small business eclipse them. That competition mindset, which is related to scarcity, I think. So I want to change that. One entrepreneur at a time, one business at a time. I mean, it's like there's another way here.
See, I find that really intriguing. And to be honest, I personally, I shared this before in the conversation, was just, I find competition, abundance kind of like a very interesting topic to delve into. There was something that you mentioned that I have to flag before we go into that conversation, that was just consistently you paired dreams with skills. Pairing dreams with skills, which, because that happens a lot. Like I guide people through a lot of stuff, and it's like, let go of the present reality. Let's visualize where you want to be 3 years, 5 years from now.
Right.
Initially, there's always just like, what is the purpose of that? Like, why would I even dream? It doesn't seem grounded. And it's like, no, take yourself out there and then see and feel what experiences light you up.
That's right.
What are the growth points?
That's right.
That you've garnished to become.
That's right.
And then what are the contributions that you've had that really like make you feel like,
right,
I can feel the self-esteem in that. So it's incredible. And I love the way you just consistently pair dreams with skills. Every time you mention dreams, you're like skills, dreams, skills, dreams, skills. To really
do
platform and infrastructure.
Well, you have to ground it. You have to ground it within yourself. If you have to know where you're going, you have to know where you're going. I mean, you do. You have to know the steps to get there. But the thing about having a vision, a future vision of 3 years or 5 years, is, and this is where trust that we were talking about earlier comes in, because it usually you might get those little sparkly gifts that show up for you, but they're nothing like you thought.
Yeah.
But they're really satisfying, and wow, I never would have thought this was possible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Careful what you wish for, but then get blown away by it nonetheless at the same time as well, sort of thing.
Hey, I admit, I am a recovering control freak. I wanted to know how to control everything, and once you realize that about yourself, and you can laugh at yourself and go, oh, I'm trying to control the outcome again. Wow. When you see what shows up, when you just let it go and you just trust the process, you trust what is being given to you and showing you the way. A different route maybe than you thought you were getting there, but...
Yeah, it's an interesting point in this conversation. So we're talking about trust, and we're about to weave into abundance, and it's like almost trusting into that abundance. It's like this really, I think control and competition definitely like do have almost like a hand in glove relationship, which you just alluded to, and then there's like this trust and abundance, and it's definitely something that I sit and meditate on a lot, if I may. Just the idea of competition, because having recently just unplugged from the corporate machine, and even my academics was driven a lot by competition. My performance in the workplace was driven by competition. And I can't even say that I hate to say it, but I thrive on competition. Like I really felt like that. And it's taken this whole new paradigm to be like, I don't think that's, especially doing a lot of these interviews with a lot of people such as yourself, consistently the theme of abundance comes up, consistently. And it's like, can you bridge into this whole new paradigm of abundance? And it's like, but what happens to all the skills that I acquired being amazing at competition? It's like trying to do the one-upmanship. But you can I can clearly identify that, like, to get one up on someone and pushing them down, and that is not healthy at all, because we're actually all in this together. I totally see that. But it's insidious how deep competition is programmed into us.
Right.
You I can see face value that yes, this is something that needs to shift. But then when you like to focus on where your attention goes, your energy flows, right? So if I'm focusing on competition, and it's like, how do I no longer focus on that? Let's focus on abundance. But when I think about abundance, right, this is completely comes back to the dreams and the skills thing. I'm thinking about abundance. I literally see apples popping out of thin air. And just I find it really hard to ground abundance in.
I agree. I just moved a little bit to close my door because I hear people at home, and I didn't want to do that. Abundance. I know. As you were saying that, I had a thread of thought that kind of escaped me. If you want to just reboot that again for me.
The idea that there's control and competition. It's kind of
yes. Okay.
And then trust and abundance as these other two. As this other point.
Right.
Complete new point of reference.
I know what I wanted to say. So if you look at what Humanity Plus is, right? What is a Humanity Plus business? What is conscious business? What is co-creation? It means that you're taking not just the individual moving up, you're looking at the whole. And if you are always thinking about others and how can you include them to grow. And I know when I was working as a speech-language pathologist, because of the social language disorders that I was seeing, the one area that always was just, it was there, the glaring absence of it in an individual, was perspective taking. The ability to take the perspective of another person. I mean, you talk about empathy, but there are truly, truly people, especially the more the brain is involved, oftentimes engineers. You probably have seen that in your profession that you worked in for a long time. Engineers are very heady. So, and because it is a sense of solo competition, right, as well as who's going to come up with the next best thing. Yeah. But you're always coming from a place of, I mean, you don't mean to do this, but it's like, okay, who's going to notice me? Am I going to be the one with the next best idea? Am I going to eclipse someone else? Or can I beat my previous record? Right? We have that self-competition too. And so taking perspective of others, I think it's huge. It's a huge, huge, huge deficit that we do see in the Western world now. Because it's ego-driven, it's always been about how much money, how much success, how much power. And power, it really causes you to pause and say, well, what exactly is power? Because power comes from yourself. It comes inside. It's not power over others. And in a conscious business model, it's more an internal, wow, I want to show up and be authentic and be me and be seen and be visible and let my gifts shine and contribute. That's true power. And so that perception that people have that other people don't matter, that it's just their path on the career track that matters, I think that's really been a disservice to humanity. And it's also harmed our planet and the environment because it's all been about how much money. Can I get to that billion before my competition does?
It's interesting because, as you were saying, perspective taking, it again boils back down to, for me, was all about compassion. And that's something that I've been working with some clients on as well. And so it's interesting, just that whole tuning into, like, just an awareness of what's bigger than you and beyond you.
Right.
But you articulated the rungs for competition really well. What advice do you have for someone in terms of looking to release and surrender that control? Just trust? Just like tips on trust? Like guide?
Yes. Yes. I mean, what's true leadership? True leadership is not the top-down model of leadership does not work any longer.
Yeah, there's a lot of models coming into shift, isn't it? Agile.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Leadership it is really, if I look at it from a more consciously aware approach to doing business in the now, leadership is looking at each person in the company and how can you support them. A true leader will look at the people working for them or on their team and say, how can I support them stepping into their own leadership skills? It's a very different way. It's developing and it's encouraging. It's not babying. It's just, hey, you haven't done this yet. You have an interest? Go ahead. Take a go at it. See what happens.
I love that. There was something that's coming to mind, but I can't share it, so I'm going to. Yeah. Interesting. So, leadership. Who do you see as being like an inspiration for leadership in your mind's eye? When you see creative leaders or people that are leading by example or inspiring to you?
Well, is there any one person that I think is doing it perfectly? I'd have to say no, because humans, although it's perfect, I don't want to say anyone's imperfect, because if you're taking action in any way, there's a perfection to that. I really like Richard Branson. I think he's just so, and he's also, he's kind of with my values of let's just have fun, right?
Yeah.
And he's just out there about and quite innovative and creative in his approach to doing business. When he has an idea, he'll analyze it, figure it out, and he'll give it a go. And he has a knack for making the businesses work in a way.
Right. Yeah.
But I think he's really great. And then I can look at other businesses. I really do like Mindvalley. I think the business model for their headquarters and how staff interacts, and to me, it is a conscious business. It is. It is. I mean, they are really doing, if you go down a checklist of what could make a business more conscious and aware, I mean, they're looking at how do you contribute? How do you allow each person to grow at their own rate and their own level and whatever skill sets do their dreams and work together and create that engagement and team where you're actually creating not just business alliances, but friendships that go deep. And to me, that's a great model, and it works. It seems to be working as an example of a Humanity Plus, and they give back. They give back a lot too.
Yeah.
So
the thing that's coming up for me is that the future is fun. So where does that land for you? What does that really mean in terms of, like, Richard Branson, obviously fun, and Mindvalley, like, you build these relationships, but you go to work with your friends. It basically makes it feel a lot like fun. I think it's circling back to that it doesn't feel like work. But where does fun fit in all of this?
Do you want to know professionally or personally? Fun as both. Okay, so
like leadership, and then like embracing, like the lack of seriousness in and around that.
Well, I'm a co-facilitator of a local National Association of Women Business Owners, NABO, in the Bay Area. And I find that a lot of the women are corporate, and they have that, it has to be done this way. And they have a seriousness to them. Yeah. And I look at them and I'm going, nope, I'm not doing it that way. So I'll be in these board meetings and I'll hear everyone is, looking at the numbers and all that, which is important. It's important. But there's no laughter. There's no joy. And so I'm usually the one that gets everyone to laugh. I figure that's my gift. And it's not taking away from the seriousness of what we're discussing, because it's usually important to the health of the organization in terms of fundraising and sponsors and all that. So we need to know the numbers. But there's another way to be. And I know when I talk to a group, I'm not going to get up there and go, okay, here's the data and, give some boring talk. I'm always looking, for me, it's my nature to want to engage. Involve the audience, get them to participate in a way. If I don't see that they're lighting up, then I'm missing it, then I'm not paying attention, that I'm not engaging them. So it's fun to give it a go and to try it. And sometimes, the feedback I get from people is that I'm approachable. They can't believe how approachable I am. And that makes me feel good, because I don't want to be unapproachable. I want to be an asset to anyone who wants to have a conversation with me. So I make it kind of my own little game. How can I lighten up this boring situation right now? And that's my own private little game. Shh, don't tell anyone.
It's a fun game. I'm playing that.
So that's how I bring it in professionally. And, just not being afraid to be seen as weird as I am. It's like I used to be afraid for people to really see, oh, she's too weird, she's too out there. And now I'm kind of like, well, what's going to happen if they think that? So that's perfect.
I love that. I absolutely adore that. And there's this thing that's coming out before you touch.
Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone.
Just those that are listening. just the 10,000 people listening. So if you're ever in a meeting with Carol, just watch her. Just wait for what's about to come. The tension, I love it. I have this. It was, as you were sharing that, the impetus to having fun. It was something that clicked from the conversation before. Was you mentioned social and emotional IQ. And I think there must be a bit of a dance, or between like bringing fun into like a serious situation in terms of cultivating your social and emotional IQ to be able to introduce it into that space. What does social IQ mean to you? What does emotional IQ mean to you? Can you talk to that first a little bit?
Social IQ means that you're paying attention to others around you. Professionally, I was trained to use thinking with your eyes. And I attribute that to Michelle Garcia Winner, who is the developer of social thinking out of San Jose. But thinking with your eyes it's brilliant, because if you would, we've all heard, okay, use eye contact now. Come on, make eye contact with your audience or your listener. And to some people, it made no sense because it makes you feel uncomfortable. to have to stare at someone and make eye contact. But when you think with your eyes, it's implying that you're engaging your brain, your mind, your senses, your feelings, your empathy. You're engaging your whole body to listen. We don't just listen with our ears, we listen with all of our senses.
Yes.
So our body language, even olfactory senses, we listen and we engage with people. And when people feel that they are truly engaging you and that you are listening and receiving them, that's when the beauty comes out in people. That's when the true juice comes out. It's not just the boring, oh yes, I have to impress or be a know-it-all stuff that people in business and in the rest of their lives, they're kind of stuck in that. How can I impress? How can I be the know-it-all? How can I get the last word in? But if you're thinking with your eyes, you're including the whole person, and you are staying very present with them. So that's a simple way to go into social intelligence. I mean, there's many different levels, but if you're in a team meeting or you have to collaborate in a partnership, a dyad or a triad, how do you do that? Do your words just come out and run over someone else and cut them off when they're trying to get a word in edgewise? Right? And that's a whole other thing. If you look at introvert or extrovert, I'm kind of like, I'm in a fine line of both. I lead with a 2-point lead over my introvert part. Yeah. So I have often seen extroverts not even notice that they just cut someone off.
Yeah.
So that's just a small portion of social intelligence, but it also goes with the emotional intelligence to feel and to perceive what someone else is experiencing in the moment, to be aware. It comes down to the awareness again.
I love that. Listening with your eyes, and then obviously that dialing in your awareness, and then exactly what you alluded to. So much. It's almost mysterious, but it's so much goodness comes out of just awareness. It's just one of the biggest takeaways from a book that changed my life was Eckhart Tolle's The Power of Now. I don't know if you've read that one.
All right, that's a great book.
He, he brought to my awareness a lot of things, and then I started getting hung up on a lot of this stuff. It was like, so what do I do now? Like, I'm aware, but like I can't create 20,000 shifts and once, it's like, this is what, and near the end of the book, there's this really wise sort of conversations with himself, and it's like, awareness is already the shift. Just relax now, because now that you're aware,
that's right.
It's already happening. And I think that's
right.
A lot of people that they listen to the podcast a lot and they get in touch and it's like, I want to work on this, I want to work on that, and we dial into programs and we work on and they get all inspired. And then they get hung up on themselves again because it's like, I'm inspired, but I'm not taking the action that I should be. And it's like, you're aware, so try like a little bit of self-love in there.
Right.
You can really...
Yes.
Because fundamentally, I liken it to the fact that if you know the stove is hot and you touch it once, it's like, oh.
Yes.
But you're aware. Now you're aware. And you do it.
That's right.
You might do it 2 or 3 times and you might feel foolish for doing it so many times. But eventually it's like, the stove's hot. I've got that programmed in now. I don't need to touch it.
Right.
Creates the shift for sure. So
I
love that. Thank you for sharing that. On that note, is there a book? I know I loved your book. Is there a book that you recommend?
I am actually reading a book right now that I'm really enjoying. I'm a constant reader. I'm reading several books, but the one that's I'm reading right now, among other ones, is it's called Opportunity, and it's by Evan Pagan.
Opportunity.
And it's really good. It dials down, how to, of course, I love the word opportunity because, that's something that I'm always, okay, what's the opportunity in this sea change that I'm encountering? Because expect a change. That's a given in life, right? Things will always change and shift. But what do you do with it? Do you shrink? Do you cower? Do you avoid it because it's too painful? Or do you just look at it and go, okay, this is showing up in my life, so I wonder what else is possible here. And you don't try to figure it out, and guaranteed it will pop in. Whatever it will be. So that's a book that I'm really enjoying now. Oh, I think I have another book here. I'm actually rereading Wayne Dyer's Real Magic. It's an old book, but I'm rereading it again, and it's brilliant, Dr. Wayne Dyer.
He's special.
He is.
Just going back to the opportunity thing, I think that's really interesting because I haven't heard of that book yet, so I'm curious to read that one as well now. But the idea of, I've noticed that in today's day and age, we're swamped with opportunity.
Yes.
Have you felt that? Like, especially in something like, you talk about conscious business and like creating change. Once you step into like an entrepreneurial sort of space, it becomes actually the greatest skill set I can develop is to figure out which opportunity to pursue.
Yes.
It's not like I'm going to leave my job and then there's not going to be anything for me to do.
Yeah.
No, I left my job and now there's like a calamity of things that I could be doing.
Yeah. Yes.
Which one do I dedicate myself to? Is kind of, yeah.
Yes. The way I've always approached opportunities that come at you like that is you really have to come back to yourself. And you have to discern. You have to have a very good system of, you can call it a BS detector, like the flash is coming at you and going, hey, this is the carrot I'm dangling for you right now. This is it. It's sparkling and dangling. You should go for this because it looks good. But you also have to have a system inside of yourself to make good decisions. And in all decisions, there's a yes and there's a no. And you have to look at what's the weightiest part of that equation in the moment in making a decision about an opportunity, the yes or the no. So you have to discern. And you also have to see, is this in alignment with who I am, my goals, my dreams, my purpose, my vision? Or will it take me away from that so that I might be out of alignment? And you can tell, after you practice for a while and you learn some skill sets, you can understand you have a feedback system in your own body. I mean, there's 3 brains. We talk about it in our book a lot, and there's a lot of research on the mind brain, the heart brain, and the belly brain. And the belly brain is super important, and most people don't even pay attention to it. But it's brilliant. Like, I feel it in my gut, or you feel that contraction of, why am I feeling sick to my stomach? Or usually when that happens, I have to say, I'm out of alignment. Something about the situation is not in alignment for me. So then you can use your mind brain to kind of analyze and gather information. And then you can use your heart brain. Your heart brain is to like, okay, how does it feel? And if your gut brain relaxes, you're onto something good that's in alignment. And you just try. But not be attached to the outcome.
Love that. There's a whole chapter in the 5 Steps to Thrive on the genuine you, which was super useful.
Yes.
In terms of
Yes.
Which is who you
yes.
Share reflected that really powerfully. So,
thank you for reading it.
No, thank you for writing it and getting us a copy. I have another question, which is, so I know you got a jet. I know you're going to get out of here. But I have to ask you a question. You mentioned this thing which I found really surprising, which was not surprising but intriguing to ask a question on. Was you mentioned that one of your greatest teachers are your children.
Yes.
Can you elaborate? Tell us more about that.
Oh yes, because I learned very early on if I thought I was teaching them something, and that was the only way it was going to be between us, I would have been missing a lot. So I looked at, especially during the challenging moments, I have 2 sons, and so my older one was particularly strong-willed, let's just say.
Yeah.
And he pushed my buttons big time. And I had to really take to pause and to step back and go, okay, if I'm being triggered by this little guy right here, who's cute as anything, and he's smarter than me, probably. You know, I had to say that, like, this guy is off the charts. He's smarter than his parents. And I had to really reflect on, all right, if I'm being triggered, what's up? What's up with me?
Yeah.
What skill do I need to develop in myself to be able to not just manage and parent him, but to show up fully as myself, as a model for my son to see being a strong woman, but not being a nag or a controller or trying to disempower him as a male. So I looked at how can I raise both of my sons to become empowered men, to grow into themselves. And all they need from me really is to know that I love them, I believe in them. And so I had to be so free of all my other garbage that got in the way of, well, why can't I get this kid to do what I want him to do, right? That's not going to work.
Yeah, insightful. I love that, the humility and the big thing that I got in that was just the humility and the incessant passion to learn.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
How can I grow as a person?
Yeah.
Not just how am I helping them grow.
I think we share a mutual addiction there.
It's a good one.
Also, I keep telling myself too. Second last question. If we could put a billboard in Times Square, New York, all that crazy fast-paced energy, bling, bling, blang, blang, blah, blah, what would your billboard say? Your message? The character billboard.
Wow. Well, it's been said before, but something about live life to its fullest and don't squash your dreams. See the beauty, see the gift in every opportunity that comes your way, even if it's not pleasant in the moment, because there's a gift in there somewhere. So maybe it's see the gift. I don't know. I don't know. Something like that.
Love it. Thank you for sharing that. And my last question, by no means my least question, is it's esoteric in its nature. So beyond the skin suit, beyond Paul Benson, author, speaker, coach, trainer, business coach, business mentor, beyond the mother, beyond the partner, who are you?
Who am I? Oh, I am a very open-hearted, loving person who believes in the best of people, and I want to see the best in others show up and develop. And I'm supported by knowing that I'm not alone in this mission, that there is a higher power that is my primary relationship with me. And if I forget that for a moment, I'm off center. And I know with Paul, when he and I met, he had the same thing going on. So his primary relationship was with a higher source, and so was mine. So when we came together, we have this whole other thing going on between us that's pretty beautiful. But I believe that love is all there is. I mean, that's the crux of everything, and that's what feeds me. That's how I try to show up in the world, and believe me, I'm not always perfect in being the most loving that I can be, but that makes me feel good. That is really who I am as a being, is love, It's probably the best way to describe it.
I love that. That was beautiful. Thank you. That was very poetic.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, really appreciate it. And also just just the wisdom like you've been sharing over the last almost an hour now, and consistently like our interactions at Mindvalley during getting certified and all that sort of stuff. Just really grateful for just the energy that you do bring, the fun vibes, and just the lightness that you consistently obviously cultivate, but also so willingly and abundantly share. And not just through yourself, but also through Paul, and just the bond that you guys have is such a blessing to be connected to, and just to be around. And then also, everything that your vision and everything that you're contributing to going forward as well, with the conscious impact that you want to have on the planet for humanity. Plus, it's not just about you, it's about all of us. And I'm just really, really grateful for all that work you've been doing on yourself, all that you share now, and all that you will become as well. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure with you.
Karen. Love your message, love your vibe. And so for those that also love your message, love your vibe, and looking to get in touch, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
They can email me at carol@itdoesn'tfeellikework.com.
Cool. And that's Carol with a CAROL.
OL. It doesn't feel like work.
Mitch, if there was any inspiration, go to it. I love that.
Right.
Thank you so much for your time today. Really.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Love of the Inspired Evolution and sharing the Love of the Inspired Evolution. If you feel like this content has supported you, or may support anyone else that you know may resonate with the content of it, please share away and share the love around. Thank you guys so much. And to stay up to date on whatever's coming out with the Inspired Evolution, please subscribe. There's all these links in the bio for you to tune into the episodes and all these different platforms, just so the message can get to you and your loved ones. Thank you so much for all your love and support. Stay inspired to evolve.